Peace be with you. Dear friends, welcome to Living Flame podcast, website, and Facebook group. Gospel reflections for the fourth Sunday of Advent. Gospel according to Luke chapter 1, verses 26 to 38. Dear friends, these days we have been reflecting on these Gospels, especially on the Gospel of Luke. We meditated a lot, but we can understand how this encounter of Mary with angel Gabriel took place. This first encounter with the angel Gabriel comes in this chapter of Luke. There Gabriel appears to Mary. We pick up the story in verse 26. In the 6th month, the angel Gabriel was sent by God to a town in Galilee called Nazareth, to a virgin engaged to a man whose name was Joseph of the house of David. The virgin's name was Mary, etc., etc. Mary is probably thinking, sure, the Lord is with me. I'm a good Jewish girl from a good Jewish home. No, that's probably not what she was thinking at all. She was probably thinking, who are you and why are you here? A very strange predicament in which she was finding herself. The angel Gabriel speaks to her again and says, "Do not be afraid, Mary, for you have found favor with God. You will conceive and give birth to a son, and you will name him Jesus." Well, the words, "Do not be afraid." Mary wasn't afraid because the angel was there. Perhaps a kind of physical uncertainty, insecurity. Persons in the first century were much more open to sights of the supernatural than perhaps we are these days. No, the words were preparing Mary for what was to follow. The announcement that God was calling her to do something that was completely out of the ordinary. Something that would derail her life, possibly create a scandal, and leave her homeless and destitute. Their fear wasn't the presence of the angel. The fear lay in the dreams of a life about to be shattered by the call of God. Dear friends, intervention of God in our lives can happen just as it happened in the life of Mary. We never know when God is going to intervene in our lives. Of course, we are called to be in communion with God all the time. So pray without ceasing. Pray always. But then this communication with God can trigger intervention of God, as it happened in the life of Mary. Don't be afraid when God calls you out of the ordinariness of your life. That's what it means. Don't be afraid for God to choose to use you to do something great to impact the world. Don't be afraid because where God calls, God provides. God provides grace, power, strength, courage, discernment, wisdom, knowledge. That's what Gabriel told to Mary. You have found favor with God. You have found favor. You have found grace. Mary became an instrument of grace. Mary couldn't be an instrument of grace for others until she experienced God's grace herself. So this reminds us how we all have to prepare. As we are preparing these days for the coming of the Lord in our hearts. But this announcement to Mary is an indirect reminder to all of us that God is going to call us and God is going to use us as His instruments. I'm reminded that there is no such thing as a hopeless situation. There are only hopeless people around us sometimes. God can redeem any situation that life throws at us. And life can be pretty mean and unfair at times. Guess what? Very often life is not fair. It is because of sin. There are some things in life that are unjust. That doesn't mean we don't work to correct the injustice of life, but some things are just beyond our control. When life seems to be out of control, we need encouragement. We need to hear that we are not alone, that we are not forgotten. God cares for us. Dear friends, this gospel passage helps us to understand how Mary actually took this challenge when she was asked, "Do not be afraid." And these were also the words uttered elsewhere in the Bible. Whenever the angels appeared to holy people, they said, "Do not be afraid." Dear friends, we need to get rid of our fear. We have to take the challenge in our lives. That could be a challenge of sickness or old age or uncertainty or poverty or difficulties with our family members or our neighbors. It is a challenge. If we are authentic like Mary in our hearts, the words of the angel are appropriate. Do not be afraid, because God is with you. God is going to support you. God is going to lead you. God is going to fill you with His grace and power, because you are called by God and God will lead you. It is the mission of God that you are accomplishing through your life. That is what the assurance given by the angel, and the words, "Nothing is impossible for God." Nothing will be impossible with God. And at that moment, Mary says, "Here am I, the servant of the Lord. Let it be done to me according to your word." Then the angel departed from her. What a great lesson, dear friends, as we are about to celebrate the birthday of Christ. We look at Jesus, born on a manger. Though he was in the form of God, he did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped. He emptied himself, died on the cross like a slave, and God exalted him above every name, that every knee in heaven and on earth and under the earth should bow and accept that he is the Lord. That is what is accomplished through this gospel passage, dear friends, as we are preparing to celebrate Christmas. Wishing you all Merry Christmas from Living Flame Podcast website and Facebook group. Dear friends, let us prepare for this great event of the birthday of the Lord in our hearts. Let us be courageous people like Mary. It is not our human courage, but this courage comes to us from these words of the Lord Himself. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. Take your challenge, be strong, and walk with the Lord. And always look at Mary, so humble, prayer-filled woman. She was capable of saying yes to the Lord. So that means we too are capable of saying yes to the Lord, provided we connect ourselves every day with Him through prayer. God bless you.